Hey, everybody, welcome back to the Infuse Your Future podcast, where we bring together people and ideas who are making the world a better place. Today, I would love to introduce Kristy from Clean Eating with Kristy. How are you today,
That's it.
Kristy?
I am doing so well. Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, thanks for being on the show.
Of course.
So tell us a little bit about yourself, what you do, and how you infuse the world.
Yeah, well, I first of all, I love the word infuse.
Thank you.
That's awesome. It goes right along actually the line of food and what I do. So, I am a certified health and wellness coach. I am also a kitchen confidence coach. So, what I do is I have the amazing opportunity to work with mainly women in the kitchen, but help them build their confidence around the food that they are eating, fueling their bodies with. And what typically happens with that then is when they gain confidence in the kitchen, they also gain confidence in other areas of their lives and are able to grow and challenge themselves in ways that they would have never even thought, all with food. So that's what I do.
That sounds fun. So how do you work with people?
So I have couple different ways, couple different mediums, I guess you could say. So a lot of it these days is virtual, which is amazing. I have group programs. I do live prepping cooking classes over Zoom, and we do it together. And then I also have one-on-one coaching clients as well. So different platforms based on the support that you need.
And I would imagine your skills are very important these days because as we become more technologically advanced, at least from what I see, that's one of the skills that we've lost, even as women,
Yeah.
is how to cook. I
It's
mean,
you, yeah. Yeah. Like
I'm 53 and I don't really know how to cook. I can cook eggs.
yeah.
I can follow directions on something and pop it in the
Yep.
oven. But the
Yeah.
idea of spending hours prepping things and
Mhm.
then having leftovers,
Yeah.
it's just, it hurts my brain.
I can tell the way that you're like um describing that, which is so funny because on the other side of it for me, right? Like food is food is just it's just part of my day, right? Like it's what I do. Obviously now this is like a huge part of what I do, but it we have lost so much of it. And especially um there are so many, even just grocery shopping, Instacart, like you can just not even have to go to the store anymore. You just go online, not even, so you're not even touching the food and
Mm.
choosing it and looking at it. Somebody else is doing that for you and then dropping it off at the house. And there's just so many other things too along that line of like when we are cooking for our families, when we are cooking for ourselves, the love, the care that goes into choosing the food that we are bringing home. And that gets lost along the way. And then there's, DoorDash and Grubhub, and like just at the touch of a button, food can be at your doorstep without even having to, to even think about preparing it. So yeah, it's a real thing.
Well, I know we have a lot of holidays coming up. There's going to be a lot of people out there, some cooking, but a lot of eating, a lot of people eating. So do you have any advice for people, especially around the holidays? How to eat cleanly, how to cook cleanly?
How to just do it, right?
Right, right.
Yeah. Yeah. So the first thing I like to acknowledge, I guess, is that we have to give ourselves grace. Like there is the holidays are can be a wonderful time when we allow it to be, and when we restrict ourselves or when we're so concerned about the food that we're eating and what the number on the scale is going to be the next day. That really kind of puts a whole different light on the food that we're eating and what we're doing. So give yourself grace because it's a season, right? Like it's a couple days, We don't have to have it like the whole entire month or like, whatever that looks like for you. However, there still is a way where you can be in control of the food that you're eating and also be intentional so that when you are wherever you are, or if you are a host, you still can feel good about what you're eating and know that you've really made good decisions. So one of my favorite things to do is when you are invited somewhere else and you have specific health goals, or you are following a specific way of eating, one of the things that you can do is you can always reach out to where you're going and ask if there is something that you can bring. And what happens then is you are offering to bring something, and you can still make that fit within your particular personal goals, so that at least there's one thing at the party or at the house where you're going that that you will feel good eating. So I just really like to encourage that, because it also is a way of using our voice without being so dramatic about it. But we can, a fruit platter goes a long way, right? When there's a lot of sweets and pies and, all of the things, a fruit platter can be really nice. And it can also just be, a really nice treat. And then, that you can partake in that without the guilt per se.
So true. So true.
Yeah. Yeah. I think there's a lot to be said about, really speaking up for ourselves and prioritizing ourselves, even when we're going over to somebody else's house. Like, we still should feel good. We still should feel like, we had a good time. We did have a great time, and we, can love what we're eating as well. And sometimes it's as simple as being like, hey, what can I bring? And the other person on the other end is like, oh my goodness, awesome. They volunteered to bring something, one less thing for me to do. Right. So
Right.
Yeah.
Now, what about the opposite? What if you're hosting and you're a clean eater and you fully believe in it, and you happen to be from a family or a friend group that's come in expecting to see 5 types of pies, mashed potatoes, rolls, cornbread, every carb imaginable except for fruit.
Right.
And then ice cream afterwards.
Yeah.
And all these people are coming over and they're expecting a feast. Like, how would you balance that? What's your advice there?
Yeah. So there again, right, you're going to give yourself grace because this is one meal. However, I still think that there is a way to be able to have those things, treat your guests, and still be able to have those things and build a plate that is well balanced, and be able to walk away with that as well. So protein, right? Whether it's turkey, ham, chicken, whatever you're having, that's your protein. And a plate should always have protein. And then when you're looking at your fiber, which your fruits and vegetables, right? A plate should always have fruits and vegetables as well. Maybe you do like whatever it is, a string bean casserole or the corn casserole that like everybody's used to, but you also do maybe something other. You could do a fruit platter. You could do a side salad, maybe a different kind of vegetables, right? So you can have some variety there. And I am actually a firm believer that every plate, every meal, breakfast, lunch, and dinner should have some kind of starch or carb on it, because that's what gives us our energy, right? It turns into energy. So to have some mashed potatoes or to have some sweet potatoes, awesome, great. You don't even have to really think outside the box for that one. You can go pretty traditional and have some on your plate as well. And then if you're always hungry and you want more, you either go back for the protein or you go back for some more vegetables. So that would solve it. And it's simple. Like, you don't have to overthink it then and be like, oh, well, this is how many calories and, this is whatever. When you break it down like that, into the protein, the fruits and vegetables, and your starches and carbs, pretty basic. And you can do that wherever you are.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, I know in your business name, you have clean eating.
Mm-hmm.
So how would you define clean eating? What does that mean?
Right.
Does that mean not drip your pasta sauce everywhere?
I could, sure, why not? Yeah, it's interesting. Everybody has different views of clean eating. So for what I believe and what I've experienced in my own life is that clean eating is as close to nature as possible. So an apple is very clean, right? As opposed to like an apple pie, there's a lot of different steps in there, and we've transformed the apple. Um, so it's as close to nature as possible. And you can take that, how you want. It doesn't necessarily mean vegetarian, it doesn't mean vegan. It just means that you are eating as close to that product as possible as well. So yeah.
Okay, great, great. Yeah, and that brings up another point. You said everybody has a different idea what's clean versus what's not, what's nutritious versus what's not. It can get really confusing out there. You have your camp that says never have milk. And then you have your camp that says, well, absolutely, you should always have milk.
Right.
That's what babies eat, almost exclusively, right? And then you have your people, it has to be organic, because if it's not organic, then
Yep.
it's not healthy and it's not clean. And then you have your camp that is it has to all be organic, or it doesn't have to be organic, I should say.
Yep.
There's just so many conflicting pieces of advice out there.
Yeah.
So how do you wade through all that? How do you decide? How do you, not go into meltdown mode when you're trying to figure out how to feed your family, have a good time, and still make it healthy and nutritious and clean?
Yeah. I think the other word too is sustainable, right? Because it has to be something that we live, that is easy, for us to do. So what I recommend is, first of all, we look at your health goals, right? At your personal goals. Is it weight loss? Is it balancing hormones? Is it just feeling good? Whatever that may be, because that will determine to what direction we go in. But also, one of the things that we do not do is we do not turn inwards, and we do not listen to our own body first. We always go, like we always go to Google, or we'll ask somebody else, or we see somebody else who's not eating meat and we're like, oh, well, that works for them, so let me try that, instead of listening to our bodies and being like, oh, hey, you know what? Like that feels really weird when I eat that, or I feel bloated when when I eat cauliflower or broccoli. So maybe I should stay away from those vegetables. But what could I eat instead? Right. And so our bodies and our brain, they work together. They're smart. Like that's how our bodies are made. They're smart. And so we need to really listen to what our body needs, and what that will, I'm a firm believer that will lead you in the direction in which you should go. And also too, sometimes it's for a season, right? Like I was a vegetarian for maybe 5 years, and then I needed something different. It wasn't enough for me. I was hungry all the time, right? And so I started to notice that. And then I was like, okay, well, let me start to put some different kinds of protein in. Let me start with chicken and, kind of move towards that. And then that had me feeling better and more energy. So, like all of those things that we want, we have to figure out what we want, not what somebody else wants. And then we can decide how we want to go. And budget always plays a big role in it, right? Because organic is, it can be costly. And so the difference between, sometimes our budget is, well, do I still want to eat fruits and vegetables, or do I want to eat just, a little bit of, what that is. So we can take that too once we determine that.
Right. I love what you said about intuition. One of my earlier podcasts, I did one called Stop Dieting, which was basically about intuition, where it was just do this experiment and eat something for a few days and record how you feel about it. And then decide, do I want to continue feeling this way? Or do I not want to feel this way? And if you don't want to feel this way, don't eat that food anymore. And if you want
Right.
to
We're always presented with a choice, right? Like,
continue,
yeah, do I want to feel this way? I love that, because I do encourage whatever program it is. I do encourage writing down and journaling how you feel after you eat, and also how you are feeling in the mood that you are in before you eat, because that determines a lot. Like if I've, especially with emotional eaters, our emotions can drive the food we eat, how much we eat, when we eat, all of those things. And so to be able to be aware of that really also changes so many things in our body. But that's also an awareness that we are so quick to, not think about or not go inside with. So, yeah.
right. Now, do you have any advice on how to make clean eating super fun and exciting, something that you want to do? Because I know a lot of people, including me, when I think
Sounds
about
boring.
clean eating, I'm like, okay, broccoli and carrots for
Yep.
lunch,
Mm,
asparagus for dinner.
yeah.
And, people like me also don't know how to cook, right? So then we're like, okay, one is going to have salt on it and one might have a dip with it. And
Right.
then it doesn't sound fun or sustainable, and then you don't continue it. So do you have any advice along those lines?
I certainly do. I certainly do. So first of all, food should be fun. That is, like, I think the bottom line of everything. Food should be fun and it should be enjoyed, and we should look forward to eating it. So if there's something that is like, I will never tell somebody to eat turnips, roasted turnips, if A, they've never had them, or B, like, that is like, nope, I'm not even gonna, not even gonna do that. So I encourage you to start with what you know, first of all, what you know, and to experiment with different seasonings, sometimes different flavors as well. Um, but then the other thing is too, is to make it fun and to explore things that maybe you've never had before. Is you can start with the letter of the alphabet, and when you go to the store, whether you go to the store or you order online, you can pick something new just each week, not every day. So that gives you actually like 26 weeks out of the year if you do that. You know, what new thing that starts with the letter A have I never eaten? What could I try that I would be open to, right? Like anchovies are probably not a place to start, but what would I be open to? And then the next step is then like, how would I prepare that? So what you're doing with that is you are opening your mind to something new, but then you're also too exploring and thinking outside the box of, okay, do I roast that? Do I eat it raw? Is it a fruit? Is it a vegetable? And then you allow yourself to look into other areas of how you can bring that in with flavors that you already know, and then do it that way.
That sounds fun. And
Yeah,
maybe
it is.
even buddy up with a friend who has a
Yeah.
similar goal.
Oh, I love that idea.
And then,
Yeah.
kind of either have a contest or,
Mhm.
just share pictures or eat together or something.
It's even fun too, like even like cooking, right? If you are not comfortable cooking, and especially too when you're trying new foods, this is what I find, and maybe you can relate to this, but if you don't know, like, you've heard of something but you don't know how to cook it, you might like take a look at it in the grocery store but then not put it in your cart, right? And you walk by because it's intimidating, like you don't know what to do. Let alone if you're going to cook for, let's say, your family, something that you don't know what to do. Sometimes our family are our biggest critics, right? And they'll laugh at us and they'll be like, oh my goodness, I can't believe you made that, right? And that can feel awful. So if you have a buddy, if you have a friend that would be that person for you, and you could cook together and you could try it together, that's like that's a safe space. That's a really safe environment to make mistakes, to fail, and to see if you like it, or to be like, oh hey, like, did you think it needed more salt, or how should we do it next time? And then you can create that, even like a weekly connection over food, and you're establishing a new relationship with food, and also to a friend at the same time. I love that idea.
Yeah, that sounds great.
Yeah, it does actually.
Now,
Now
do
my
you,
wheels are turning. I'm like, now how can I use that?
yeah, there's a lot of food for thought there.
Yeah. Yep.
Now, do you have any ideas for single parents? And I don't say single moms because I know there are a lot of single dads out there too, but
Mhm.
say you're a single parent or just a busy person and you don't have a lot of time and you want to have a clean eating and eat healthy, and you kind of struggle with always finding a way to do that. Do you have any advice for
Mm.
them?
Yeah, and actually, I have experience as well. I was a single mom for about 6 years, so that's when my health journey started, and I was on a very tight budget. And so one of the things that I knew I wanted to do was start to incorporate, like the cleaner type things, and I would, similar along the line of the one, like the different letter each week, I would just choose one different food that I hadn't tried before. And I just have to make sure that it was in my budget. But that would be like the one food, even almonds, because almonds can be expensive, sometimes. Like sometimes that was my stepping out of the box. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to add almonds to my snacks this week, and this is what I'm going to do with it. So like similar to the same thing. And when you also are doing it by yourself, that's the that's the challenging part, because you don't have maybe somebody there that is like, yes, you can do this, or walking alongside you with that. I Bring your kids in with you. Have them experience that with you, because what you are doing is you are teaching them life skills. And most likely your budget is going to be a little bit tighter, and you don't have the money to make two different meals, one for you and one for them, right? And so when you can have those conversations together, that creates bonding together. And also too, then you're teaching them about food in the same way without them necessarily knowing, like, I'm eating broccoli because it's healthy, right? It's just more of like, this is our new lifestyle, this is what we're going to do. So I highly encourage you to bring them right alongside with you and have them experience it, and have them also the same thing, like make choices. So, what new fruit can we try this week? What new vegetable can we try this week? Makes it a lot easier when they're your little partner walking alongside you, and you feel like you're not doing it by yourself.
So true. And it's such a great bonding experience as long as,
It is.
you have the patience and allow them to
Mhm.
actually do things,
Mm.
allow them to stir and, if safe, do some of the cutting. And I mean, I love seeing all these videos on Facebook, Instagram, or TikTok where there are these
Mhm.
little tiny tots that are really actively cooking.
Yeah, it's a thing. Like, I actually, when my youngest was 4, um, I bought her, maybe it was even when she was 3. So Amazon had a like silicone cutting set, cutting knives, and like they would cut through a cucumber, they would cut through a pepper. They're not going to cut your hand or anything. I got her own. There was 3 separate ones, and I would pull the stool right alongside me, and she would stand on it, and I would give her a cucumber or a pepper, whatever it was. Wasn't perfect, but she did it, and she was so proud when she did it, and cutting them and then being able to put that plate on the table and us eat from it. Like, there's also too, we want to instill that confidence in our children, right? Because we don't want to get to be 50 or 60 and not feel competent and confident in the kitchen. And we certainly don't want our children to feel that way either. So if we can teach them life skills such as cooking from a small age, and have them just be part of that normal you know, as they're growing up, we really close the gap for them when they're adults, because they can do those things that are so important for their livelihood and health as well.
Yeah. And if you can afford it, I know they have these subscriptions where,
Oh
and
yes,
I forget,
like
do
the
you know the name
subscription
of the,
boxes. Um, I saw one the other day, but yes, they're really cool because every month a new one comes to the door. It's a recipe card, and then there's baking ones and there's cooking ones. There's different ones. Yeah, they're really cool.
yeah, I was getting one for my daughter for a while, and it
Mm.
even came with a little instrument, like either a little kid spatula or
Oh, that's
whisk
so
or
cool.
something like that. And I
Yeah.
can't think of the name right now. I don't know why. And it came with a little
There's,
badge that you could sew onto a cooking apron.
oh,
And
I
with
love
your first
that.
box, you got the apron.
Yeah.
And she loved it. She loved it.
Yeah, it's something for them to look forward to. And then they also too, right? Like they go to the grocery store. I still like to the grocery store. I still like to pick everything out and touch my fruit and, you know, do all of those things. But I'll bring her with me. She's 10 now. I bring her with me and I'll have her like cross off the list, or I'll say, hey, you know, go pick up a head of lettuce, and she brings it back to me. So like just all of those things, because I work with women who never set foot in a grocery store before because one of their parents did it, and so they never had the need to do it. And then if they were in college, right, you're eating at the cafeteria, so you don't necessarily know how to do it. I mean, you can go to the grocery store and pick up like chips and like snacks and things, but to go like to have an ingredient list from a recipe and go to the grocery store and shop for that, that's a completely different, sometimes out of your element um, thing to do. And so, again, just doing it with them when they are younger and you're walking them through that process, that's a skill. They need that. They need it.
So true.
Yes.
And then what about for kids? What advice do you have for parents to send kids to school with a healthy lunch that they will
Mm.
actually eat? I know when my
Ugh.
kids were little, I was trying to send them with a healthy lunch. And I remember at one point I found out that for my son, one of his friend's moms was being so sweet. And, her son would say, Nick doesn't have anything yummy in his lunchbox. So for probably like 6 months, every day my son was eating some sort of a giant cinnabon.
Oh
She was
gosh.
sending an extra cinnabon to school, which was so sweet of her. But and I think she had no idea that I didn't know that she
Yeah.
was doing
Oh
it.
my gosh.
And I know that they trade, like trading is
Yeah.
a big thing. So my kids would always trade out their bag of carrots for somebody else's dessert.
Yeah. Why not? So we do a lot in our house with compromising. And it's funny because I had control over the food that she was eating until she started going to kindergarten and eating lunch at school. And she soon came to realize, and she'll even tell me now, even at 10, she'll say, Mom, this is a home food, and then she has school food, because she doesn't want her friends to make fun of her, or to think that she doesn't have chips or like that kind of a thing. So I will compromise, and I will give her, like, we'll have some snacky things that she gets at for school, but then when she comes home in the afternoon, I always make her a snack tray, which is really, and the rule for the snack tray at our house is two healthy things, and then she can have one like fun item. So it could maybe be like some leftover Halloween candy. It could be like a cookie or something like that. So when she comes off the bus this afternoon, she will get a snack tray, and I'll have two healthy and one sweet. Sometimes she'll try to be like, I want a snack tray with two sweet and one healthy. She'll try to like switch it for me. um, but I think that's the important thing too, is you want them to have a healthy relationship with food. And so always saying, no, we're not going to buy this because it's not healthy or it's not good for you. And they see their other friends eating it, they're going to eat it anyway when they go to their house, or, um, so again, just like we're giving ourselves grace, give them grace and allow them to eat it. But then also too, when they come home, then you have those foods at home that you know are going to nourish them and just help their little bodies grow.
That's great advice.
Yeah.
Now you brought up Halloween. That
Mhm.
wasn't really on my radar, but that's a deep one. And
Oh,
I had
it's deep.
never
Yeah.
figured out how to deal with that.
Yeah.
But so what do you say to this holiday where they just jam sugar down kids' throats, and then if you don't
I
let them
know.
participate, they're antisocial? And
I know.
how do you handle the bags and bags of candy that they get?
So that's a hard one. We're very fortunate that we actually live on a street that is a dead end, so nobody trick or treats. So I don't have to buy candy and like have it here to pass out. My little one, she goes trick or treating. She comes home with a huge bag of candy, and she has one piece of candy a day from now probably until Easter. And that's just, we allow that. I'm not of the mindset where let them have all of the candy the very first day and then none, um because I want her to be able to like make those choices, right? The other thing is Halloween is one day, so we have to, again, in our mindset as adults, understand that it's one day. And if I want a candy bar, I actually can go to the store and I can buy one candy bar for myself. I don't have to hoard a whole bag in my house if I don't have the willpower or the motivation to not eat it all. I think the media and like we're marketed that, right? Like, oh, like you need all this candy now, where in reality, I can go to the store and I can buy a candy bar if I really want a candy bar. So there's that piece of it too. And just like, we don't keep a bowl of candy on the table where everybody can just take a candy every time they walk by. It's just not something that we do, and it works for us. So she gets something sweet, and then we move on. We just carry on with our day, and tomorrow's another day, and she'll probably have something, a small candy bar tomorrow, and we move on.
Sounds good. Sounds
Yeah,
good.
that's it. No stress.
Well, is there any other pieces of advice you have for people?
Well, I mean, grace is a big one, right? So you're going to give yourself grace wherever you are. One of the things that I will say, if somebody wanted to just really start to make some changes in their diet and start to do it effectively right away, one of the things that you can do starting today is choose one meal. It's usually probably lunch or dinner that you can add one more vegetable to. That's it. And start there and add one more vegetable, whether it's your favorite vegetable or you want to do the ABCD, a different vegetable each week. But do not stress about it, because it is something that you will continue to do and you can grow with. So just one meal a day, add a vegetable to it and see how that makes you feel, and continue to grow on that, because vegetables are awesome and they can really like do amazing things. So that's it.
Yeah, I have to say vegetables are amazing. The one thing that I can count on to always give me good energy is just a good salad
Yeah,
with lots of greens. Gives me
lots of
amazing
greens.
energy.
Yeah, like lots of crunchy things. And there, I think one of the things too, like I could talk about, food all day, but to move away from how our parents maybe like over steamed the vegetables and the broccoli and like all the frozen stuff, and to really like trust yourself too, in like, I can make this delicious for me, and I'm going to try these different ways and we'll see it. So trust yourself in that process, trust your body, but give yourself grace too. It's a process. There's lots of things to learn along the way, but you can feel amazing, you can feel awesome, and food is really a pathway to that.
So if somebody wanted to start making changes today and felt like they needed someone to help them through, like a coach like
Mhm.
you, what does
Yeah.
that look like? When they sign up with you,
Mm,
what should they
good
expect?
question. Yeah, that's awesome. So I'm a very I'm a very hands-on coach. I like to like talk you through things so that you know what you're doing. I'm not one of those coaches, or even when you get a program and you just buy it and then like that's it. I will be there. I will be your cheerleader. I will be your encourager, your supporter, because this is such a big step for you. Even just adding one vegetable a day for a lot of people can be really, really hard. And so expect me to be by your side, and expect me to be cheering you on and walking you through that process. I do like to find out, where you are, what your background is, so that we have the right program that fits for you, whether it is coaching or whether it is a group program or, one of my self-paced programs, because there are so many programs, especially in the health and wellness space out there, that promise you things that are going to do these amazing things, and I want to make sure that you actually get the results that you are looking for. So we will spend time talking and getting to know each other, and then we go from there, and you are put into the right place with the proper support.
Yeah, and I think one of the reasons why it's super beneficial to have a coach is no matter how good our intentions are, right? When you're trying to set up new habits, many times, despite our best intentions, we can just end up not doing it.
Yes.
And when you have a coach, they help you, keep you accountable and keep it fun and keep the ball rolling, because habits don't change overnight. And so when you have the coach, they help you put patterns in place that can become habits instead of just the current fad or the current program.
Exactly. Yes. And to make sure that you're staying the course too, right? That's the important thing. It's very easy to get sidetracked. So to stay that course and really just to walk towards your goals. That's it. Makes my heart happy.
And I always like to end the show with a call to action. So I'm wondering if you have a call to action to people out there, something that they can do, start today, whether they have money, they don't have money, they want to start infusing their lives with nutrition, health, vitality. What can they do today?
I mean, you can start with, like we talked about, right? The adding one vegetable to your plate. Start with that. Start somewhere. You have to, if you want different results, then you have to be willing to every day, no matter how hard it is, to take different actions. And that's, I think, the biggest thing is, for different results of where you are now, you have to take different actions. And if that means adding, 3 carrot sticks to your plate, then that is a different action for you. And that's awesome. So do that, as hard as it is, but do it, and you will be grateful and so proud of yourself for doing it.
That's so true.
Yeah.
All right. So everybody go out there and start adding vegetables and make it fun. Put a little ritual around it and get in contact with Kristy to help you out.
Love it.
All right. Thanks so much. It was great talking to you.
Thank you so much for having me.
Hey, everybody. I hope you really enjoyed today's episode of the Infuse Your Future podcast. Please remember to share it with at least 2 other people so you can help us grow and spread positive messages in the world. If it's something you need in your life, consider working with them. And don't forget to check out infuseyourfuture.com and see if you're ready to work with Dr. C. Until the next episode, infuse your future.